WEF just became WTF. The World Trump Forum. 47 giving the bug-eating globalists at Davos a good roundhouse kick to the face as he beamed in virtually to address the World Economic Forum. Roll it, Sven.
I'm pleased to report that America is also a free nation once again. There will be no better place on earth to create jobs, build factories, or grow a company than right here in the good old USA. My message to every business in the world is very simple. Come make your product in America, and we will give you among the lowest taxes of any nation on earth. If you don't make your product in America, which is your prerogative, then very simply you will have to pay a tariff. I terminated the ridiculous and incredibly wasteful Green New Deal. I call it the Green New Scam. Withdrew from the one-sided Paris Climate Accord.
Yes, but perhaps the best moment came when President Trump browbeat the Bank of America's CEO for debanking conservatives, an allegation that he denies.
I hope you start opening your bank to conservatives, because many conservatives complain that the banks are not allowing them to do business within the bank, and that included a place called Bank of America. They don't take conservative business. And I don't know if the regulators mandated that because of Biden or what, but you and Jamie and everybody, I hope you're going to open your banks to conservatives, because what you're doing is wrong.
And a big win for the tariff titan. JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon is seeing the upside of not letting the world rip us off.
Look, I look at tariffs, they are an economic tool. That's it. They're an economic weapon, depending how you use it and why you use it and stuff like that. And, people argue, is it inflationary and non-inflationary? I would put in perspective, if it's a little inflationary, but it's good for national security, so be it. Get over it.
Ooh. Wow, it was like speaking to Harold. Hey, Jesse, I'm going to use a food analogy.
I'm already hungry.
Isn't Donald Trump like salt? You add it to every meal and it gets better. So you throw him at the WEF and it's like appetizing. It's fun to watch. You're kind of like truffle oil, where you overpower and you ruin every meal.
I was having popcorn with Trump one time, and he took one of those industrial-sized canisters of salt, the ones with like the tin, and he just holds it like a football and pours like a thick, steady stream of salt into this. I couldn't believe it. I talked to one of the FBN anchors in the elevator the other day and asked her about some gumshoe reporting, and asked her about Davos, and she said Davos is a dump, Jesse. She said the food's terrible, it's German, and the skiing is mediocre. And I thought it was a junket for her, but she said it's just a mess. And it used to be a place where all these financial elite will go to the biggest tax haven in the world, place where they hid Nazi loot during the Holocaust, and dictate to everybody else what to do. We're not doing that anymore. Globalization is over, and we're taking Davos down with it. Trump went to Davos and dictated to them. Boost spending on defense, cut corporate taxes, because he's establishing a new world order. America is no longer duty-free. No more mass migration. D-U-T-Y, Greg. No more mass migrations, no more DEI. There's a new sheriff in town. And it's coming at the perfect time, because China's dying demographically. Russia was already dying demographically, and now they're bleeding out on the battlefield. And so Samsung just announced they're moving factories from Mexico to the United States. The Saudis just announced a $600 billion investment here. And so we're flexing our economic muscle just at the right time. This is the new golden age, Greg, so you better buy Bitcoin.
I think I will. But fun fact, Davos was the name of my old masseuse. R.I.P.
Is that
Davos.
a woman or a man?
Hard to tell at this point. It's a closed casket. Hey, Judge, so you know what is kind of amazing about this is that there are so many clowns at Davos who probably parroted the whole anti-Trump line. And he owns them now. It's like the world is catching up.
Yeah, he so owns them. It's so refreshing. It's like, guys, it's America first. And there's no appeasing anybody. It's about making sure that, look, if you don't want to manufacture in America, that's okay. But you got to pay a tariff if you want to sell your stuff here. And by the way, after NATO, what was it, 2%? Guys, I think we're going to up that to 5% now. And it seemed like everything that the president talked about really revolved revolved around energy, and that energy was the one thing that would bring prices down. You know, we talked about Saudi Arabia and OPEC bringing their prices down and using that energy and oil, liquid natural gas to leverage certain things, like to leverage Russia. If you recall, it was Biden who lifted the sanctions on the Russian pipeline, okay? Gave Russia the power and the ability to continue to sell oil, gave them the ability to fight with Ukraine and, you know, the economic stamina to do so. And it was kind of interesting listening to him. It was like energy kind of weaved into everything and bringing prices down. And I love the DEI cuts. Everybody at Davos is saying, we can't talk about it anymore. How do we even describe it, or how do we get rid of it? And finally, Jamie Dimon now saying, well, you know, even if it is a little bit inflationary, if it's good for national security. Everybody's coming around. This guy is the leader. They know it, and he owns them.
You know what I like about this, Dana, and I'm sure you will agree because we've agreed with you agree with me all the time.
100%.
He's representing us when he's out there, and it always feels like he's America's lawyer. And so he goes up there, and it's like we sit there and you go, yeah, you know what? He's representing us on our behalf. It's kind of nice.
Didn't you used to call him America's agent?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, so and you want your agent to be the guy that has to deal with all of the like hard conversations.
Right. So
because he's better at it than you are, because you'd rather not, and I would rather not. But I think it's interesting is this is where you get the elite of the elites, and they all fly in, all the rich people, and they talk about the poors.
Yeah.
And they're feeling so badly for them, except that you have, for example, John Kerry. John Kerry was there with the same message about how we need to end fossil fuels, as if the last 4 years never happened, as if he was not paying attention at all to what was happening. I also, I was listening to this podcast today from the New York Times. Okay, on the energy front, they're like, oh, he's gonna end clean energy, no more clean energy. That's not what he's saying. He's saying that we want to have all the things all the time. We want nuclear, fossil fuels, of course. We can have solar, we can have wind, but not at the expense of the American people. John Kerry was there saying the same old thing. You had one of the CEOs say, it was unfortunate to see the net zero coalition fall apart because it was big business for us. Not that it didn't matter what was happening to the people, because as all the energy prices went up, all the food prices went up and everything else along with it. So that's one of the things that I liked about today.
Awesome. So, Harold, you must have been bummed not being there with your rich, elitist, remote friends in Davos skiing.
I've never been there.
You've never been to Davos?
No.
Oh, it's wonderful. You and I'll go next year. I have a place.
I think, can I?
Yes.
See, I think that President Trump, the unconventionality of him is refreshing. He's a different kind of leader, and Democrats and those who did not support him, whatever their political stripe, need to understand that. He's a risk taker, and he's going to continue to take risks. This was a risk today, the things that he said and how he said it. His campaign message was one that was risky, but the voters ratified it. I hope as he takes these risks that he's strategic about them all. I thought going after OPEC and saying they should reduce the price of oil, that helps consumers. To your point, Judge, the energy platform, if you're able to reduce the cost of energy, you're able to reduce the cost of everything it takes to make that outfit, this suit, anything dark, all of this. It has a multiplier effect. I like that. The fact that he's talking about reforming the tax code, extending his tax cuts, looking at SALT, I think it's important that he have an all of the above kind of strategy session and listen to people, tell them what's going to spur growth and empower the Main Street in our country, Main Street businesses. Also think it's important for him to do what he's going to do in terms of rooting out some of the waste and inefficiencies in government. I don't like everything he wants to do. I think the tariff thing, it's interesting to hear Jamie Dimon say to link the tariffs with national security. I would agree with that. That was one of the reasons I'm opposed to TikTok being owned by China, is because I think it's a national security threat. So if we're able to use tariffs to enhance our security and make us safer, we absolutely should do that. I'm not sure how it's going to reduce the price of eggs, but these are things that I think we give the president the benefit of the doubt on. I don't like removing pictures of military chiefs, but that's just me. Lastly, you raised the point, Judge, about how we strengthen ourselves and how we get even stronger, our economy. I hope the president and his team and Elon and them focus on one other thing as they think about importing talent. you see this fight developing between Bannon and Musk about what we should be doing, how you really put America first. I think both of them are right. You have to continue to import the best and the brightest. But if we don't make a commitment to train and train more engineers here, train more entrepreneurs here, train more risk takers here, train more problem solvers here, we're going to just end up importing everybody from around the world to do the things that pay the most in our country. The things the president wants to do to get more manufacturing here, we need more Americans to be able to do those jobs. We need to invest in our supply chains, invest in our people, and in not only just kids in K through 12, but invest in even workers today so they could take and assume some of these great paying jobs that will come as a result of all the things the president seeks to do. So I hooray him. I give him the best. Where I disagree with him, I'll say it, but where I agree with him, he should keep going.
Somebody's running for 2028. Yeah, that was so obvious, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's
Well,
so
it was
obvious.
so obvious.
He
love
gets
my
into
country.
political mode. You know he's
Yeah,
testing
that
lines.
was if that wasn't a
political.
stump
That was very
speech.
political. Yeah.
Political, I'm rooting for the guy.
I know. I'm kidding. Am I? I don't
That's
know
the
anymore.
point.
Coming up, President Trump orders Greasy to rake the forest and give California a shower.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.